Captain Minu stood on the bridge of the Horizon's Promise and watched the stars streak past. His ship was escorting a large transport vessel carrying families to New, humanity's first colony beyond Earth's solar system. The journey would take another 3 days, but everything was going smoothly. "Captain, the transport is maintaining position," said Lieutenant from the tactical station. The young officer checked his screens again, his fingers moving quickly across the controls. "All systems normal." Minu nodded. He had been in space for 15 years, but this mission felt different. 340,000 people were heading to a new world. Most of them were families with children. They carried hope with them, hope for a better life among the stars. Doctor walked onto the bridge carrying 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Minu and smiled. "You look tired." "Just thinking," Minu said. He took a sip of the coffee. It was terrible, like always. The recyclers could never get coffee right. Hard to believe we're really doing this. A human colony on another world. Looked out at the stars. She had been studying alien life for 10 years, ever since humanity made first contact with the Galactic Council. "It's been 30 years since we met them. The Council finally agreed to let us expand." "Let us," said quietly from his station. There was an edge in his voice, like we need their permission. Minu understood's anger. The Galactic Council had 47 member species. They were old, powerful, and they treated humans like children. Earth was classified as a Class 7 sentient species. That meant the Council saw humans as emotional, weak, and not very intelligent. It meant Earth had no real voice in Council decisions. "The Council thinks we're harmless," said. She sat down in her chair and pulled up her research data. "I've been reading their reports about us. They find human emotions strange. They think our attachment to family is inefficient." "Inefficient?" Minu turned to look at her. "Most Council species don't raise their own children," explained. "They use group nurseries or artificial growth systems. The idea that humans love their children and would die to protect them doesn't make sense to them." Laughed, but there was no humor in it. "They think we're weak because we care about each other." Minu didn't respond. He remembered the border wars, the conflicts between Earth nations before first contact. He remembered what humans did when they were pushed too far. But that was old history now. Humanity had changed. They were peaceful now, diplomatic. They wanted to join the galactic community as friends. The bridge was quiet for a while. Minu watched the transport ship on his screen. Inside were families sleeping, eating, playing with their children. They were dreaming of their new home on New. They trusted him to get them there safely. "Captain," said suddenly. Her voice was different, concerned. "I'm picking up some unusual readings." Minu moved to her station. "What kind of readings?" "Long-range sensors are detecting ship movements near the new system." Fingers flew across her screen, pulling up data. "Multiple contacts, large ships, military vessels, I think." Was immediately at his station, weapon systems coming online. "How many?" "At least 20, said. "Maybe more. The signatures match Dominion warships." Minu felt his stomach tighten. They were one of the Council's military powers. They were aggressive, territorial, and they had never liked humanity's addition to the Council. "What are they doing near New?" "I don't know," said, "but they're positioned around the colony world." Minu immediately opened a communication channel to the Galactic Council station. An alien face appeared on his screen, blue-skinned with 3 eyes. "This is Captain Minu of the human vessel Horizon's Promise. We're detecting military ships near our colony world. We request immediate Council assistance." The alien looked bored. "The Dominion has historical claims to that sector. They are within their rights to patrol." "That's our colony," Minu said, trying to keep his voice calm. "We have civilians there, families." "The Council is aware of the situation," the alien said. "We recommend patience. They will likely move on once they've completed their survey." Survey? Minu couldn't believe what he was hearing. Those are warships, not survey vessels. Captain, the alien said slowly, like speaking to a child, humans are new to galactic politics. They are simply exercising their territorial rights. There is no need for alarm. Your emotional response is typical of Class 7 species, but it is not helpful. The screen went dark. The alien had ended the communication. Swore under his breath, "They're not going to help us." Minyu stood very still. His mind was racing. The transport ship would reach Nu in 3 days. The colony had only a small defense force, maybe 200 soldiers with light weapons. If they wanted to take Nu, there was nothing to stop them. "Send a message to Earth," Minyu ordered. "Tell them everything, and get me ambassador on the council." Worked quickly. Message sent. "Ambassador is in a council session, but I've marked it urgent." Captain said quietly, "The fleet is moving. They're entering orbit around Nu." Minyu watched his screen. 20 warships, each one larger than his vessel, settling into position around the colony world. On the surface, 340,000 humans were going about their lives. They had no idea what was happening above them. "How long until we reach Nu?" Minyu asked. "At maximum speed, 72 hours, said. 3 days. Minyu looked at the transport ship on his screen. All those families, all those children. He thought about the border wars, about what humanity was capable of when their loved ones were threatened. But that was the old humanity. They were peaceful now. They had to be. The council demanded it. "Maintain course," Minyu said. "Maximum speed. And someone get me any information we have on military tactics." Pulled up files on her screen. "They are known for overwhelming force. They don't negotiate much. They believe might makes right." "Do they know that about humans too?" asked quietly. Minyu didn't answer. He watched the fleet on his screen and felt something cold settle in his chest. The council thought humans were weak, emotional, easy to control. They thought the same thing. Maybe they were about to learn differently. "Keep me informed of any changes," Minyu said. "I'll be in my quarters. I need to think." As he left the bridge, Minyu looked back at the transport ship one more time. All those families, all those children. He had promised to protect them. Humanity had promised to be peaceful. But what happened when peace wasn't enough? What happened when the galaxy pushed too far? Minyu didn't know the answer yet, but something told him he was about to find out. Held his daughter's hand as they walked through the colony's main street. She was 6 years old, excited about everything on this new world. The sky was a different color than Earth's, more purple than blue. She kept pointing at things and asking questions. "Papa, why are there 2 moons?" she asked. "Because this planet is different from Earth," said. He was an engineer, one of the first people to arrive on Nu 2 years ago. He had helped build this colony from nothing. Now it was home to 340,000 people. His communicator beeped. It was Sara, the chief of the Colonial Defense Force. "Get to the command center, now." The tone in her voice made him stop walking. "What's wrong?" "Just get here. Bring your family to the underground shelters first." Looked up at the sky. He saw nothing unusual, but his heart started beating faster. "Come on, sweetie. We need to go see Mama." At the command center, Sara was staring at multiple screens. Her face was tight with worry. "We have 20 warships in orbit. They sent a message 20 minutes ago." "What did they say?" asked. Sara played the recording. A voice, harsh and grinding, filled the room. "This sector belongs to the Dominion by historical right. Your colony is trespassing. You have 12 hours to evacuate completely, or we will remove you by force." Felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. "Evacuate? We have 340,000 people here. Where would they go?" "I contacted the Galactic Council," Sora said. "They said this is a territorial dispute and we should negotiate with the—" "What did you tell them?" "I tried to negotiate," Sora said. Her hands were shaking. "They won't talk to me. They just repeat the same message. 12 hours to leave or they attack. Looked around the command center. Sara had 200 soldiers, all with light weapons meant for keeping peace in the colony. They had no ships, no heavy weapons, nothing that could fight a warship. The Horizon's promise is 3 days away, Sora said. Earth knows what's happening, but they can't get here in time. So we evacuate, said. To where? Sara looked at him. We have no transport ships big enough. We can't leave the planet. The best we can do is get people underground into the shelters we built for emergencies. Thought about his daughter, about all the children in the colony. The shelters will protect them from orbital strikes. Maybe, Sora said, if they use precision weapons, but if they use heavy bombardment. She didn't finish the sentence. He ran faster than he had ever run in his life. He needed to get to his family. He needed to get them underground. All across the colony, alarms started blaring. People poured into the streets, confused and scared. Parents grabbed their children. The elderly moved as fast as they could. Everyone headed for the underground shelters. Found his wife and daughter at their home. We need to go now. His wife saw his face and knew something terrible was happening. She picked up their daughter and they ran. The shelters were massive underground rooms built when the colony first started. They were meant to protect people from storms and radiation. Now they would protect them from something worse. Got his family inside Shelter 7. It was already packed with people, hundreds of them, all scared and talking at once. Papa, what's happening? His daughter asked. Knelt down and hugged her. Some bad people want us to leave, but we're safe here. You're safe. His communicator beeped. It was Sara. All defense forces to positions. They're starting. Kissed his daughter and his wife. I have to go help. Stay here. Don't leave for any reason. His wife started to say. I love you both, he said. Remember that. He ran back to the command center. On the screens, he could see the ships moving into attack positions. Sora's soldiers were scattered across the colony, ready to fight even though they all knew it was hopeless. They're not even trying to negotiate anymore, Sora said. Her voice was calm now, resigned. I'm sending a final distress signal to Earth. Maybe someone will hear it. The first strike hit the northern section of the colony. A beam of energy from orbit hit the ground and everything for 200 meters disappeared. Buildings, streets, people, just gone. Watched the screen in horror. There were shelters in that section. I know, Sora said quietly. More strikes came. There were systematic, destroying section by section. Sora's soldiers tried to fight back with their small weapons, but it was like throwing stones at a mountain. Recorded a message on his communicator, a message for his daughter in case he didn't make it. He told her he loved her. He told her to be strong. He told her that humans never give up, no matter what. The bombardment lasted for 6 hours. 6 hours of constant attacks from orbit. They destroyed 70% of the colony. Some shelters held, many didn't. When it finally stopped, climbed out of the ruined command center, the colony was gone. Everything they had built, everything they had dreamed of, was burning wreckage. He ran to Shelter 7. Please, he thought, please let them be okay. The shelter was damaged but still standing. He climbed through the broken entrance and called their names. His wife answered. She was crying, holding their daughter. They were alive. Around them, other families were not so lucky, helped pull survivors from collapsed sections. He found children alone, their parents gone. He found parents holding children who would never wake up. By the time Sora did a count, the numbers were impossible to believe. 89,000 people dead. 34,000 of them were children. The ship stayed in orbit, watching. They sent one more message. This sector now belongs to the Dominion. Any humans remaining have 24 hours to leave or face further action. Stood in the ruins of the colony and looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, they were celebrating their victory. They had shown the weak humans what happened when they didn't obey. but wasn't thinking about obeying anymore. He was thinking about his daughter's face when the alarm started. He was thinking about all the children who died today. He was thinking about what humanity used to be before they decided to be peaceful. Sora walked up next to him. Her uniform was torn and bloody. I sent everything to Earth. Video, casualty counts, everything. The Horizon's promise will be here in 36 hours. What will they do? Asked. I don't know, Sora said, but Captain Minu watched the footage. I saw his face on the transmission before it cut out. What did he look like? Sora was quiet for a moment. He looked like someone who just remembered something he had tried very hard to forget. Looked at the ruins around him. 89,000 dead, 34,000 children. He thought about the Galactic Council, who called humans emotional and weak. He thought about the who thought they could kill human children and face no consequences. They're going to learn something, said quietly. What? Sora asked. That humans are only peaceful when we choose to be. Above them, the ships continued their patrol, unaware that they had just made the biggest mistake in their species' history. The Horizon's promise arrived at noon 36 hours after the attack. Captain Minu stood on the bridge and looked at what remained of humanity's first colony. Smoke rose from hundreds of impact sites. Entire sections of the colony were simply gone. Scanning for survivors, Doctor said. Her voice was shaking. I'm reading life signs in the remaining shelters. Maybe 250,000 people alive. 89,000 dead. Minu had watched the footage that Sora sent. He had seen the ships fire on civilian areas. He had seen the shelters collapse. He had seen children running before the next strike hit. He had watched it 3 times. Then he locked himself in his quarters for an hour. When he came out, Lieutenant said he looked different, colder, older. The fleet is still in orbit, reported. 20 ships, they're not leaving. Hail them, Minu said. A face appeared on the screen. The alien looked like a cross between a lizard and an insect, with multiple eyes and sharp teeth. Human vessel, you are ordered to leave this sector immediately. You killed 89,000 civilians, Minu said. His voice was flat, emotionless. 34,000 children. The commander made a sound that might have been laughter. This sector belongs to the Dominion. Your people were trespassing. We gave them time to leave. They refused. Their deaths are their own fault. I see, Minu said. Thank you for clarifying your position. He ended the transmission before they could respond. Captain looked at him. Send a message to Earth, Minu said. Tell them I need to speak with Admiral immediately. Maximum priority. While they waited, Minu began shuttling survivors onto the transport ship and the Horizon's promise. Came aboard with his wife and daughter. His daughter was quiet, staring at nothing. Captain said, what happens now? Minu looked at the man's daughter. She was 6 years old, the same age as his niece back on Earth. Now we make sure this never happens again. 8 hours later, Admiral's face appeared on Minu's screen. She was an older woman, maybe 60, with gray hair and scars on her face from the old wars. She had commanded Earth's combined fleet for 15 years. I saw the footage, said without any greeting, all of it. The Galactic Council offered mediation, Minu said. They want us to accept territorial concessions. Face didn't change. What did Ambassador say? She told them mediation was no longer required. Good, said. I need you to get every survivor out of that system, all of them. You have 48 hours. Admiral, what's happening? Looked directly at him through the screen. We're going to show them what happens when you kill human children. Earth's communications are going dark for 18 hours. When they come back online, the galaxy is going to learn who we really are. The transmission ended. Minu worked for the next 2 days, evacuating everyone from Nu. When the last shuttle left, he looked back at the colony one final time. It had been a dream of peace and hope. Now it was a graveyard. On Earth, things were moving quickly. Chancellor stood before the Galactic Council and listened to their suggestions for peace, mediation, negotiations, territorial compromise. "Thank you for your input," said politely. "Earth will consider these options." Then Earth's communications went completely silent. Every human ship, every human outpost, every human station stopped responding to Council transmissions. Mediator, a senior Council member, watched this happen with growing concern. Had studied humans for years. He knew their history, their wars, the terrible things they had done to each other before first contact. "Something is wrong," told the Council. "Humans don't go silent, they communicate constantly. It's part of their nature." "They're probably mourning their dead," another Council member said. "Class 7 species are very emotional." "No," said, "this is different." He was right. Across human space, reserve fleets were activating. Ships that the Galactic Council didn't know existed were powering up. Weapons systems that Earth had claimed to have dismantled were coming online. On the horizon's promise, Minu discovered old military protocols in the ship's computer. Protocols from Earth's 21st century wars. Tactics for total warfare. Strategies for fighting enemies who showed no mercy. Found him in his quarters, watching historical footage. Nuclear weapons destroying cities. Carpet bombing turning forests into ash. Scorched earth tactics where armies destroyed everything so their enemies couldn't use it. "Minu, what are you watching?" asked. "History," Minu said. "The Council thinks they've seen humanity angry. They haven't. They've only ever seen us at peace." "What's going to happen?" Minu turned off the footage and looked at her. "They think they can kill our children and walk away. They're about to learn they're wrong." 18 hours after going dark, Earth's communications came back online. The Galactic Council immediately tried to contact Earth, asking what was happening. Ambassador's response was simple. The Dominion attacked a civilian colony and murdered 89,000 people, including 34,000 children. Earth demands complete disarmament and reparations. "That's not reasonable," a council member started to say. "We're not asking," interrupted. "We're informing you of what will happen." Across the galaxy, sensors began detecting massive fleet movements. Human ships, hundreds of them, moving toward space. The combined fleet under Admiral, battle groups that had been hidden in deep space, even civilian ships that were quickly being converted to military use. The received reports of the human fleet approaching and laughed. "Let them come. We'll destroy them like we destroyed their colony." But Mediator was not laughing. He sent an urgent message to the Dominion. "Stop this now. You don't understand what you've awakened. Humans are Class 7 because they're emotional, yes, but their emotions make them dangerous. When you threaten their families, they don't surrender, they don't negotiate, they fight until nothing is left." Ignored the message. They had been warriors for 10,000 years. They had conquered dozens of species. These weak, emotional humans were no threat. The human fleet arrived at the edge of territory. Over 400 warships, all of them moving in perfect formation. Admiral stood on the bridge of her flagship and looked at the border defenses. Her communications officer spoke up. "Admiral, they are hailing us. They're demanding we stop and turn back." No response, said, "We're done talking." The fleet advanced. The fired first, hitting 2 human ships. Both ships took damage but kept moving. Then the human fleet opened fire. The weapons they used shocked everyone watching. Energy weapons more powerful than anything the Council had seen. Missiles that could track targets for light years. Kinetic weapons that hit with the force of small nuclear bombs. In the first engagement, the human fleet destroyed 12 defense platforms and 63 ships. They didn't stop. They didn't ask for surrender. They just kept advancing. Mediator watched from the council chamber as reports came in. "Dear gods," he whispered, "they're not trying to win territory. They're trying to erase the entirely." A younger council member looked confused. But humans are peaceful. They hate war. Yes, said. And that's what makes this so terrible. They hate war so much that when they have to fight, they fight to make sure it never happens again. The human fleet spread out, heading for every colony, every station, every outpost. They weren't following the rules of civilized warfare that the Council had established. They were following older rules, human rules, from the days when Earth's nations fought for survival. On the Horizon's promise, Minu received orders from Admiral. He was to take his ship and join the attack. His hands didn't shake as he read the orders. He thought about the 6-year-old girl he had evacuated from Nu. He thought about the 34,000 children who would never grow up. Set course for space, he ordered. Maximum speed. Lieutenant looked at him. What are our rules of engagement? Minu's answer was cold and simple. We don't have rules anymore. We have a mission. Make them understand what they did. The galaxy watched in shock as the human fleet moved deeper into territory. This wasn't the peaceful humanity that had joined the Council 30 years ago. This was something older, something that had been sleeping. Now it was awake, and it was furious. The human fleet didn't attack military targets first. That surprised everyone watching. Instead, they went after infrastructure, supply lines, mining stations, fuel depots, every colony world's power generation. Admiral's strategy was clear. She wanted them to suffer the way Nu had suffered, slowly, terribly, with no hope of help coming. In the first week, 12 colony worlds went dark. Their power stations destroyed, their supply ships captured or destroyed, their communications cut off. The colonies weren't bombed like Nu had been. The humans just left them isolated, helpless, slowly dying. Captain Minu led a battle group to a mining station. It had 2,000 workers and their families. He gave them 30 minutes to evacuate to the escape pods. Captain, they're abandoning the station, Lieutenant reported. All of them are leaving. Minu watched the escape pods launch. Inside were families, scared and confused, just like the humans on Nu had been scared. Destroy the station, he ordered. The Horizon's promise fired. The mining station exploded into pieces. 2,000 workers were now homeless, drifting in space in tiny escape pods, waiting for rescue that might never come. Doctor watched from her station. Minu, that station wasn't military. Those were civilians. I know, Minu said. His voice had no emotion in it. They should have thought about that before their fleet killed our civilians. Stared at him. This wasn't the man she had served with for 10 years. That man had cared about every life. This new Minu was cold, mechanical, following orders without question. They tried to surrender after 8 days. They sent messages to the Galactic Council, begging for someone to make the humans stop. They had lost 12 worlds, hundreds of ships, and thousands of lives. Admiral received the surrender request on her flagship. She read it once, then deleted it. Admiral, her communications officer, said, "They're surrendering. The war is over." No, said, "The war is over when I say it's over." She sent a message to all human fleet commanders. Continue operations. Ignore all surrender requests. They killed 89,000 of ours. We're not done yet. Colonel led the Reaper Corps, humanity's special forces. His teams were dropped onto worlds to destroy specific targets. They used tactics from Earth's old wars, hit-and-run attacks, sabotage, destroying things that would take years to rebuild. On Colony World 7, his team destroyed the main water treatment facility. The colony had 50,000 people. Without clean water, they would have to evacuate within days. "Sir, there are children down there," one of his soldiers said, watching the colony through binoculars. I know, said. He remembered the footage from Nu, he remembered the children. Plant the charges. The facility exploded. 50,000 colonists would now have to abandon their homes. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. They demanded that Earth cease all military operations immediately. Ambassador stood before them, calm and composed. No. You cannot simply refuse council directives, one member shouted. Watch us, said. They killed our children, they showed no mercy. They ignored our pleas for help. Now you want us to show them mercy. Why should we? Mediator stood up. Because this is genocide. You're destroying an entire species. We're destroying their ability to make war, corrected. Every target we hit is military or infrastructure. We're not killing civilians randomly from orbit. We give them time to evacuate. We let them live. That's more mercy than they showed new. But you're not stopping, said. They are trying to surrender. His face hardened. When you kill 89,000 humans, including 34,000 children, you don't get to ask for mercy. You get justice. She played the full footage of the new attack for the council. 6 hours of warships bombing a civilian colony. Children running, shelters collapsing, screams. The council chamber was silent when it ended. That is why we're not stopping, said. Every single person in this chamber told us to negotiate, to compromise, to accept territorial concessions. You told us that our emotions made us weak. You were wrong. Our emotions make us strong. Strong enough to make sure no human child ever dies like that again. Back in space, the human fleet was reaching stood in his command center and watched the human ships approach. There were over 300 of them now, having destroyed or captured most of the fleet. Send them a message, ordered. Tell them we surrender completely. We'll give them anything they want. The message was sent. There was no response. The human fleet just kept coming. For the first time in his life, felt fear, real fear, the kind of fear that made his hands shake and his thoughts scatter. They're not going to accept surrender, his second-in-command said quietly. Then we fight, said. Activate all planetary defenses. Every ship, every weapon, will make them pay for every meter. The battle began. It lasted 3 weeks. They fought desperately, using every weapon they had. They destroyed 43 human ships and killed thousands of human soldiers. But it wasn't enough. The humans kept coming, wave after wave, never stopping, never retreating. Colonel's forces landed on the planet's surface. They fought through the capital city, building by building. The fighting was brutal and close. Both sides took heavy casualties. Minu's ship was part of the orbital blockade. He watched the fighting on his screens, watched soldiers on both sides die. He felt nothing. That scared him more than the fighting. Captain said one night, when this is over, how do we go back? How do we be the people we were before? Minu looked at her. We don't. Those people died on Nu with the others. Is that what you want? Minu was quiet for a long time. I want those children back. I want Nu to still exist. I want them to have never attacked, but I can't have any of that, so I'll settle for making sure they never attack anyone again. The fell on day 21. The planetary government surrendered. The fleet was destroyed. Their military capability was at 9% of what it had been before the war started. The human fleet had accomplished in 3 weeks what the Galactic Council thought was impossible. They had broken the Dominion completely. But there was a cost. Minu looked at himself in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. That man had cold eyes and a hard face. That man had watched families evacuate stations he was about to destroy and felt nothing. Lieutenant was worse. He had nightmares every night about the people they had killed, the places they had destroyed. Doctor stopped smiling. She used to smile all the time, making jokes even in difficult situations. Now she just worked quietly, doing her job without complaint or joy. Admiral called all her commanders together for a final briefing. "The is secure. Their fleet is destroyed. The Galactic Council has agreed to all our demands. The war is over." "What happens now?" Minu asked. Looked at all of them. "Now we go home and live with what we've done. We became monsters so that humanity would never be victimized again. That's the price we paid. We can never be the same people we were before. Colonel spoke up. Was it worth it? Thought about the question. Ask me again when another species thinks about attacking humans, when they remember what happened to thee and decide to leave us alone instead. Then maybe we'll know if it was worth it. The fleet began returning to human space, but the journey home felt longer than the journey to war. Every commander, every soldier, every crew member carried the weight of what they had done. They had shown the galaxy what humanity was capable of when pushed too far. They had shown what happened when you killed human children. And they had shown it so completely, so terribly, that no one would ever forget. The memorial service for New took place 6 weeks after the war ended. Captain Menu stood in front of a massive wall of black stone. 89,000 names were carved into it, every person who died in the attack. 34,000 of those names belonged to children. Menu read each name as he walked along the wall. It took him 4 hours. He needed to see them all to remember what this was about. Some part of him worried that he was becoming the kind of person who forgot why they fought. "Captain," a small voice said behind him. Menu turned and saw a young boy, maybe 7 years old. It took him a moment to recognize. The boy had been on New during the attack. Both his parents were dead. "Hello," Menu said, kneeling down to the boy's level. "They're all gone," said, looking at the names. "Everyone I knew." Menu didn't know what to say. What could you say to a child who had lost everything? "The bad people who hurt us," asked. "Did you stop them?" "Yes," Menu said. "They'll never hurt anyone again." "Good," said. Then he walked away to find his aunt, the only family he had left. Menu stood up and saw Doctor watching from a distance. She walked over to him. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Empty," Menu admitted. "We won the war, they are broken, but it doesn't bring anyone back." "No," agreed, "it doesn't." They stood in silence for a while, surrounded by names of the dead. On Earth, Chancellor prepared for the final Galactic Council session, the one where they would decide humanity's future in the galaxy. Some council members wanted to expel Earth for being too aggressive. Others wanted to punish humanity for refusing to stop when they tried to surrender. Ambassador stood before the council one last time. "I know many of you are angry with humanity. You think we went too far. You think we should have accepted the surrender. You destroyed an entire species' ability to defend themselves," one council member said. "That's excessive." Pressed a button and the footage from New played on every screen. Again. Some council members looked away. They had seen it before, but made them watch again. "This is what excessive looks like," she said. 6 hours of orbital bombardment on a civilian colony. No warning. No mercy. No attempt to minimize casualties. They killed 34,000 children and then demanded we leave our own planet because they claimed historical ownership. She stopped the footage. "We gave them something they never gave us. We gave their civilians time to evacuate. We gave them chances to surrender. We destroyed military targets and infrastructure, not random cities. We fought with restraint even in our anger. That's more than they deserved." Chancellor stepped forward. "The Galactic Council told us to be civilized, to follow the rules of galactic society. We did that for 30 years. We joined your council. We accepted being called Class 7. We accepted being treated like children. And when they attacked us, you told us to negotiate." Her voice grew harder. "We were civilized and our children burned for it, so we stopped being civilized. We became what we were before you found us, and we showed you what that means." The council chamber was silent. "Humanity wants a permanent seat on the Council Security Committee," said. "We want equal status with all other species. We want the Class 7 designation removed. And we want it understood that anyone who attacks human civilians will face the same fate as the—" "That's blackmail," a council member said. "No," said calmly. That's the price of our continued membership. You can accept it or we can leave your council and defend ourselves. Your choice. The council voted. 39 species voted to accept Earth's demands. 8 voted against. It was enough. Humanity was no longer Class 7. Earth had a permanent seat on the Security Committee, and every species in the galaxy now understood what would happen if they threatened human children. But there was a cost. Admiral retired immediately after returning to Earth. She gave one final interview to the press. "I did what needed to be done," she said, "but I won't command a fleet again. I've seen enough war for one lifetime." Colonel and the Reaper Corps were celebrated as heroes, but didn't feel like a hero. He attended therapy sessions 3 times a week, trying to process what he had done. The water treatment facility he destroyed still haunted his dreams. Lieutenant requested a transfer to a civilian research vessel. He wanted to be far away from weapons and war. Minyu approved the transfer immediately, had earned his peace. Doctor continued serving on the Horizon's Promise, but she was different now. Quieter, more serious. She still did her job brilliantly, but the joy was gone. Minyu himself became the captain of Earth's new flagship, a massive warship designed to make sure no one ever forgot what humanity was capable of. But he took no pleasure in the position. He had wanted to be an explorer, not a warrior. 3 months after the war, Minyu returned to Nu. The colony was being rebuilt, was there, working on new buildings with other survivors. Captain said, shaking his hand, "Thank you for what you did." "I'm not sure you should be thanking me," Minyu said. "We destroyed an entire species' way of life." "They destroyed ours first," said. "They killed my neighbors, my friends, children who used to play with my daughter. You made sure they could never do that again." His daughter ran up, chasing a ball. She was smiling, playing, alive. That was what mattered, Minyu thought. She got to grow up. 34,000 other children didn't. "Do you think humanity can go back to being peaceful?" asked. Minyu watched the girl play. "No, we're different now. The galaxy sees us differently. We see ourselves differently, but maybe that's okay. Maybe the galaxy needed to see that we're not weak, that we protect our own." "At what cost?" "Everything," Minyu said quietly. "It cost us everything we wanted to be." Back on Earth, Young attended school with other children who survived Nu. They had their own classes, special counseling to help them process what they had experienced. Many of them had nightmares. All of them had lost someone. But they were alive, and they were growing up in a galaxy that now understood one simple truth: don't hurt human children. Ambassador attended her first Security Committee meeting. The other members treated her with respect now, but also with fear. She could see it in their eyes. They were afraid of what humanity might do if provoked again. Good, she thought, fear keeps people honest. But late at night, alone in her quarters, wondered if they had done the right thing. They were broken, their empire destroyed. Millions were suffering because of what their government did. Innocent people paying for their leaders' mistakes. Just like the innocent humans on Nu had paid. It was a cycle, she realized. Violence leading to more violence. They attacked out of greed and territorial pride. Humanity responded with overwhelming force. Now they would hate humans forever. Their children would grow up hearing stories about the terrible humans who destroyed their civilization. Maybe someday, those children would want revenge. But that was a problem for the future. For now, human children were safe. The galaxy knew what would happen if anyone threatened them. Captain Minyu stood on the bridge of his new flagship and looked out at the stars. The Horizon's Promise was retired now, turned into a museum ship. This new vessel was twice as large, with weapons that could destroy planets. "Captain," his new tactical officer said, "we're receiving a distress call from a colony world. Non-human. They're under attack by raiders." Minyu thought about it. The old Minyu would have responded immediately, eager to help. This new Minyu was more careful. Is it legitimate? He asked. Appears to be, sir. They're requesting any assistance. Set course, Minu said. Maximum speed. Maybe humanity had changed. Maybe they were harder now, colder, more willing to use force. But they were still capable of helping others, still capable of doing the right thing. They just weren't naive anymore. The flagship jumped to faster-than-light speed. Behind it, dozens of other human warships patrolled the borders of human space, silent guardians carrying the memory of new, carrying the promise that it would never happen again. Doctor watched Earth grow smaller on them as they left on another mission. Do you think we'll ever be the same? She asked Minu quietly. No, he said, but maybe that's okay. The galaxy needed to see our fury. They needed to understand that humans are only peaceful by choice, not by nature. And now they know. Now they know, Minu agreed. We showed them what happens when you push humanity too far, when you kill our children, when you mistake our kindness for weakness. Will they ever forgive us? Asked. Minu looked at the memorial image of Nu on his screen. 89,000 names, 34,000 children. I don't care if they forgive us. I care that they remember us, that they remember what we're capable of when our fury erupts. He turned away from the screen, and I hope we never have to show them again. The flagship continued into deep space, a reminder to every species in the galaxy. Humanity was peaceful. Humanity wanted peace, but humanity would never, ever let anyone hurt their children again. That was the price of Nu. That was the lesson written in blood and human tears. Don't wake the sleeping dragon. Because when humanity's rage explodes, nothing in the galaxy can stop it.